Well, greetings. Good evening. Hi, it's evening here, by the way, even though it's still bright up. Welcome to the third season cooking kitchen. Tonight, we're going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to try and make three different things. First one I'm going to explain is Pico de Gallo. Pico de Gallo is a Mexican condiment you've probably tried in many different restaurants, lots of different places. It's really yummy. It's really easy. But it's kind of steeped in mystery because you buy jugs of it or you buy packages, bowls of it and such from grocery stores, and you think, wow, this stuff is great. How easy or hard is it to cook? Now, unfortunately, I was making it. I was cutting this video up beforehand, and it just stopped for some reason. I'm not going to try and link these two together. I'm just going to put together our Pico de Gallo from scratch. So I'm just going to show you how to cut up an onion. I did a bigger onion, half an onion beforehand, and rather than reshoot everything, I thought I would just do it this way. Okay. I've had some requests to sort of give more of a focus on what's going on in the kitchen area, so that's why I'm doing this. Now, this is a pre-prepped jalapeno. So this is a little wee bit of frozen jalapeno, diced up very finely. What happens is my wife does not like spicy food, so I make things as relatively plain Jane as possible. What tends to happen with this is that I use about a third of a jalapeno for the flavoring, not so much because of what it adds to spice-wise. If you like spicy food, by all means add more. To this, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt or so. Again, this is just Mexican sea salt. You can use whatever salt you have that's available. Okay, and then to our salt and jalapeno and onion, I'm going to add the juice of a lime. And what we're going to do here is just give it a quick squeeze, put that in there, and then we're going to let this marinate just for a few minutes while I continue talking about stuff, because I'm going to show you the third part of the dinner tonight, which is huichlacoche, and how we're going to mix that together. Okay, so we're going to add to that just a little bit of tajin. Tajin is a Mexican spice mixture that has some lime and other seasonings. Not terribly salty. That's why you can add it plus salt. Okay. We're just going to give this a bit of a stir. Let that marinate for a few minutes. I keep the jalapenos in a freezer, so we're just going to let that thaw out. And we're just going to let that marinate for a couple minutes. So I mentioned this huitlacoche. Huitlacoche looks like this in a package. This is the package I got most recently on my last trip to Victoria. I was at a resort in 2017, and it was spectacular food. And one of the things they had was some huitlacoche in several different dishes. Amazing. This is what it looks like cooked. Okay. Now, huitlacoche is also known as corn smut or corn truffle. So that's it reconstituted, and you can actually see how it looks like little kernels of corn. And it is outstanding. It's got this really rich, earthy, truffly flavor. The dehydrated huitlacoche looks something like this. Again, very, very odd. It's one of those foods that's absolutely spectacular to eat, but doesn't always look pretty. And so we're going to, enjoy it nevertheless. One of the things this is all in favor of is, let's start cutting this now, our tomatoes. You can use either like a tomato knife like this one, serrated. I just have on my counter some steak knives, serrated as well. I'm just going to use one of these just because I'm used to using it. And we're just going to cut our tomatoes. Now, half an onion and 2 tomatoes is about right. You can use tomatoes as ripe as you'd like, or as non-ripe, unripened. These are a little bit less ripened than I would like, but they were available, so I bought them. And we're just going to dice these up in a fine-ish manner. And what we're going to do is then add this to our Pico de Gallo. So into half a onion, we're going to add 2 tomatoes. We've got a third of a jalapeno. We have a lime squeezed, which is going to give us probably about 2 tablespoons or so of lime juice. So if you're using a preparation lime juice that's in your fridge, a couple tablespoons of that, just enough to give it enough flavor. Okay. Again, we're going to use that little bit of cayenne, and then about a solid teaspoon of salt, just to try and mix everything up. Well, those are the onions and jalapenos are marinating. We're going to then add the tomato to this. And what is magic about this is you will see how the tomatoes to my right are all white. Once we add the tomatoes, it basically blends everything together, so it now looks like the Pico de Gallo you see in the stores, but you don't realize just how much onion is in there. Yeah. So now we're just going to pop that in there and give this all a good stir. And then we're just going to let that sit while we cook the rest of the meal. Okay. So the meal tonight is quesadillas. Now, if you watched episode 3, the roast beef episode, you probably go, oh, I had this fabulous prime rib, or I had this fabulous roast. Now what am I going to do? Well, one of the things I like to do with leftover roast, is make quesadillas. So I just cubed up the roast, and then I'm going to add some tortillas to a pan, and I've got the Pico de Gallo now. I've got cheese, I've got roast, I've got huichlacoche mix up, and I have sour cream. Now, the huichlacoche is a combination of the reconstituted huichlacoche. It is just some onion and tomato, and then a little bit of the water that you mix up on the huichlacoche. And what we're going to do is just cook that on the stove, and it'll just cook down for about 10-15 minutes or so. And what's going to happen is all the flavors blend together. Add a little bit of tahini to that, and oh man, it's going to be magic. Just wonderful stuff. Okay, so should have had the pan on a little bit earlier, but we're going to survive without that. We're just going to cheat, turn it up a touch, not much. And then this is kind of a cheating, easy way to make quesadillas. This pan is big enough to fit basically a tortilla in the bottom of it. And because it's not as hot as it should be, I can do this. This is an early warmer. So what you do is you just put your tortilla in there, and you get it warmed up, and spin it around a little bit, just sort of make it easy, and make it so that you can see what's going on. You can feel the heat coming off it if this is warmer, which it will be in a couple minutes because I turned it up way too high for what I would normally cook it at. And then what we're going to do is flip it over. And as you flip it over, you can start seeing how the heat of the pan is going to bring out a little bit of the delightful humidity in the tortilla. It makes it easier to work with. The way I like to make my quesadillas, again, I don't have a salamander. I don't like to use a broiler. For me, this is just the easiest way I can imagine to do it. So we're just going to, spoon on a teaspoon or so of sour cream. We're going to add a little bit of our Pico de Gallo. Now, if you have some salsa, by all means, use salsa as well. That's a really great thing to do. And then I like to add a little bit of cheese on the bottom. And then we're going to, here comes the huichlacoche. So we're just going to spoon this out in different ways, spread it around a little bit. It has a lot of bang for buck in terms of its flavoring, so we don't want to overpower it too much. And just going to mix that up like that. And then we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of our beef. And finally, just a little bit more cheese on top. And what's happening is, while you're doing this, the bottom of your tortilla is starting to cook on the bottom. And so what we're going to do is we're going to now flip this up. And then I just do a little press on the edges just to help let it set. And let that cook for a bit. Okay. Now, if you are, the beautiful thing about this is you can, let's back up. Yeah, let's do it this way. You can make this meal really quickly, really easily for your family or for yourself or for a date. It doesn't take long. And I'd like to say, who doesn't like quesadillas? But there's probably people that don't. Many people like quesadillas. They're really simple. And you can use, I'm using the leftover roast beef that I made from the other day. You can use leftover chicken. You can use ground beef that you may have had. You can use all kinds of neat stuff that you've got around. Just use cheese, right? Cheese quesadilla. Ooh, easy, easy peasy. Okay. And what you can start doing is move the quesadilla around. So I'm going to put this back down on the pan. And you can move the quesadilla around a little bit and even flip it over. See how it's doing. You can see how it's getting a little bit of color, a little bit of steam there. And I'm going to leave it like this because I want to get it done. And then what I do is I pull over another cutting board or clean the other one, whichever way you want to go. You do you. I have two cutting boards, so I can use them. And what we're going to do is let this first one cook, and then I'm going to start the second one, and then I'm going to cut the first one. That just lets the first one set a little bit. You can do it however you want to. As you can see, it comes together really quickly. So if you're making this for two, you would do, I tend to think that 2 or 3 tortillas for 2 people is the right number. You can make more or less depending on how your hunger is. And we just flip it over, and you can see where we're starting to have some nice color on that. And we're going to just give it a little press, make sure the cheese is happening, tuck everything back into it. Got a stray onion, so we're going to get rid of that. And now we're going to pop that onto our cutting board and just let it set. We're going to grab a second tortilla shell. We're going to put that in the pan, give that a little spin just to get heated. And we're going to turn the heat down now because it's hot. The pan is not hot. We're going to flip this over, and you can see how much easier it is to move the tortilla once it gets warmed up. Again, a little bit of sour cream. You can use yogurt if you'd prefer to use yogurt. You can not use sour cream if you want to, if you don't like sour cream. You do you. It all works. Okay. Now, a little bit of the Pico de Gallo. Again, if you had some salsa, you might want to use that. I like Pico de Gallo in mine just because it's just fresher, easier, yummier. Okay. And then a bit of cheese on that layer, just to make sure it's the cheesy goodness. Some huichlacoche, and spread that around. And so I've got enough huichlacoche here for a third one, which I'll make later off camera. Going to put the beef out there. And you'll notice how I'm doing this just a little bit faster because our pan is now warm. And you can see over here some little bubbles starting to show up, which means it's cooking faster. Okay. Then we're going to give that a flip up, and you can see how it's already nice and cooked fast. We're just going to give this a press down to hopefully let that cheese melt a little bit. So what you want to do is cook this on a lower temperature than I was doing because I'm rushing it a bit, but it's okay. So here we now have our original one. Just give it 1, 2, and 3 cuts. grab a plate. And we'll just serve it up like this. Okay. And before I do that, I'm going to flip this over once just so the side doesn't get overdone. Okay. And you can see how lovely the coloring is. But in your inside, what we have here is your quesadilla is just really lovely. You can see the beef and the huitlacoche, the Pico de Gallo, all coming together. And because this was pretty much cooked on the other side, I'm just going to pull that off. Let that cool down just ever so slightly. And there you go. So that's the huitlacoche, Pico de Gallo, roast beef, quesadilla. Really simple. The beautiful thing is, y'all know, if you're in a restaurant, quesadillas can run you $8, $12, $14, $20. Who knows? Restaurants can charge you whatever you want to. At home, a couple of tortillas, some leftover meat, tomatoes, onions, jalapeno, lime juice. You don't have to use a huitlacoche. I just thought I'd show you that. And cheese. Bang. In no time flat, you've got dinner. So this time around, we've got 2 of these ready to go. I'm going to have a third one later on. But this took 16.5 minutes. So you can have a really fast, really yummy dinner. Pop open a bottle of wine, have a nice cerveza, cheers, and enjoy your dinner. Thanks so much for watching. This is Third Season Cooking, Episode 4. If you like, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, that would be great. If you have any dishes that you would like to see me cook, or you would like to see techniques that I'm using, by all means, leave me some notes in the comments. I would love to hear from you and hear what you're thinking, what's going on, and how I can make your lives more interesting cooking in your kitchen. Thanks very much for tuning in to the Third Season of Cooking, where we like to make meals for ourselves and for others. Cheers. Bye now.